Hi, hello, yes. Happy New Year. I thought I would celebrate 2022 by sharing some of my favorite books from 2021. I will be talking about 2 books per subgenre. I will be adding the timestamp so you can skip through if there is a genre you like. All of the books mentioned are a solid 15 out of 10, would read again. This will be spoiler free with general explanation so you can experience these gems for yourself. Starting off with dark romances, which I will say are my least favorite romance subgenre, but I am happy I gave these a shot. The Devil's Duet by Ashley Jade, consisting of 2 books, The Devil and the Devil's Playground. I love these books. They are full of twists and turns and has an interesting story unlike anything I've ever experienced before. You follow Eden, an agoraphobic 18-year-old, as she tries to figure out life after losing her mom, leaving her 30-year-old stepdad as her only family. And that's all I'm saying. These books are very dark. If you are extremely sensitive, proceed with caution. However, if you live for the dark and depraved, these books are for you. 10 out of 10 eggplants. Next we have Scream for Us by Molly Doyle. The textbook definition of short but sweet at a staggering 84 pages. This book gripped me from the jump. It's a Halloween novella, honestly worth a full-length book. The novella follows Quinn as she has a Halloween night she won't forget, featuring Ghostface, Michael Myers, and Jason Voorhees. This book is very good if you have a mask kink. On a lighter note, I have read quite a few rom-coms over the year, one of them being Neighbor Dearest. Neighbor Dearest is a mild enemies to lovers. I say mild because they don't really hate each other, they're more just annoyed with one another. Chelsea is a recently single heartbroken girl, and Damien is a super hot landlord who likes spray paint and dogs. It's a very cute, funny story about 2 people with 2 different reasons for denying their feelings for one another who learn a big lesson in the end. In terms of spice, it's a solid 5 out of 10. My next rom-com also isn't that spicy, but it made me feel good in other ways, so I let it slide. I've Got You by Becca Seymour is actually the second installment in the True Blue series. They are written so they can be read as standalone, but I do highly recommend the series as a whole. This is a MM or male-on-male romance. Our 2 characters are Davis, an openly bisexual single dad with a tiny baby daughter at home, and Scott, a closeted veterinarian. I think that sums it up pretty well. I mean, you can imagine the ups and downs that alone would cause. Again, not a lot of spice, but it's a very, very cute story. Onto our next subgenre, we have feel good and or contemporary. Not to be confused with rom-coms, these books are sweet with a lovely story, but they don't have that definitive comedic element that makes a rom-com, well, a rom-com. Since we were already on the topic of MM, I'm going to go into a feel-good contemporary MM book. Virgin Flyer by Lucy Lennox is just amazing. A virgin putting out an ad for a stranger to take his virginity. It seemed insane, but it actually worked. It just fucking works. If you want sap, this is as sappy as it gets. If you read a lot of romance and MM is your thing, Lucy Lennox writes exclusively MM books. My next feel-good book is actually shocking to even me, The Mister by E.L. James. Yes, that E.L. James. Though I credit her for helping me dive into the romance genre, I am not the biggest 50 Shades fan. However, The Mister shows how far she has come, and who doesn't love a glow up? This book is also really funny, but I don't think it was on purpose. I just find characters like Maxim hilarious. He has 1,000,002 hobbies with the personality of an ADHD-filled golden retriever with a deep hatred of personal responsibilities. Same. It takes place in England and does dive into issues of being a person living in a country illegally. Some could argue that Maxim is like a white knight, and I do get that, but I feel like anyone in his shoes would do what he did for Alessia. Like, his actions were rooted in good instead of him thinking with his other head. That's the interesting part. If you read it, you can forge your own opinion. It may align with mine, it may not. Now, I swear to you, romance isn't all that I read. I do read a lot of crime and thriller novels, so I will be breaking down the non-romance subgenres that I also really enjoy, starting with psychological thrillers. My first psychological thriller was actually a book recommended to me by a friend. To put this book into perspective for you, the cover is a trigger warning. Whore by Matt Shaw contains damn near every trigger known to mankind. Again, the cover is a trigger warning. It's about a prostitute and how she makes men pay for her services with more than money, and I cannot stress this enough. This book is intense, so please proceed with caution if you choose to read it. Up next, we have What Have You Done by Matt Farrell. Though this could be considered a mystery thriller, I feel like the psychological outweighs the mystery, so I'm putting it here. The book is about 2 brothers, Liam and Sean. Liam is a forensic specialist who likes to cheat on his wife. When the woman he cheats with winds up dead, he turns to his brother Sean, a homicide detective. Now that might seem a little spoiler-ish, but it's not. All that information is in the Goodreads description. I will be adding all of the Goodreads links for these books down below so you can look at more reviews and suggestions. I have read a couple of his books and I've enjoyed every one so far, and also, Matt's kind of fine. I'll stop. Psychological thrillers done, we are going to be moving on to mystery thrillers. These books do have a psychological element, but in the opposite case of What Have You Done, the mystery outweighs the psychological, so I put them here. First up is Organ Donor by my all-time favorite author, Patrick Logan. I do plan on doing an entire video about this man and my love for his books. With how much content this man has given me to work with, that video is going to be in the works for a minute, so I will try to keep my simpage to a minimum here. Organ Donor is the first book in the Beckett Campbell Medical Examiner series. Beckett is a sarcastic, know-it-all asshole, and sometimes I wish I could reach through my Kindle and choke him out, but I'm afraid he might like it too much. At the same time, he's one of my favorite characters ever written. Period. He loves a good mystery, so when expertly removed organs start appearing on his desk, the only clue that we have is that the person delivering these packages know Beckett's deepest, darkest secret. And trust me, it's a hell of a secret. I know I have to reel it in, but I just love these books so much. Highly recommend anything written by this man. My second mystery thriller is another duet. I know I'm kind of breaking the rules, but since they're duets and technically one story, I'm counting it as one. My channel, my rules. Let me tell you, the Claire Fletcher books by Lisa Regan, oh my god, these books are so good. Both books were a hold on tight, not sleeping until I have answers kind of book. The first book is called Finding Claire Fletcher, and it's about a drunk, recently divorced detective named Connor, who has a one-night stand with a beautiful woman, which leads him down a rabbit hole of a mystery. And what is that mystery? Well, you know, nothing major, just solving that woman's decade-old disappearance. And the thing is I really can't say much about the second book without giving away what happens in the first one, so read them. Find out for yourself. I will say I believe the second one is based on a true story. I couldn't find anywhere in the description where Lisa mentions that she did that. I just know that I was reading on a case that seemed very similar to the events of the second book. Not really relevant, I just thought it was cool. All right. Moving on to Supernatural. I'm gonna be honest, Supernatural is probably my least favorite non-romance genre, like how I don't like dark romances. I'm not the biggest fan of Supernatural, but I did find a couple gems this year. And who better to start off with than making his second appearance in this video? We have Patrick Logan and his book Shallow Graves. This is the first book in the Haunted series. This book follows Robert and his bout of shitty luck. His wife's having an affair with his boss. He lost his job. He has no money to take care of his daughter. What is a man to do? Basically, this aunt that he's never heard of is giving him a home that he doesn't have to pay for. In hindsight, it's a stupid idea, but when you're desperate, I can't say I blame Robert. Another Supernatural book that I read this year is an oldie but a goodie. I finally read Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. If you can get past the dated language, there's a solid story here that still gives me the creeps, even 50 some odd years after its original publication. Even though it is a fairly popular movie, I will still be pretty vague. Rosemary and her husband Guy move into a new apartment with plans to start a family. When their neighbors become a bit too involved in their lives, shit gets weird, and it gets weird fast. I don't like old books. I don't like old movies. I have no idea why I finally dove into Rosemary's Baby, but I'm honestly happy I did. We're gonna be moving on to a genre I highly doubt you knew existed. Video game books are a thing. Not books that were turned into games like The Witcher was. These are books where the games came first. For example, the newest God of War was turned into a book, which is absolutely perfect for someone like me who hates the PlayStation, fight me, but wanted to experience the story. It is labeled as the official fourth game novelization. It is written by J.M. Barlog. It's an immersive experience without having to hold a PlayStation controller, which is a win-win for me. My next book based off of a game is the Resident Evil series by S.D. Perry. These books are not the official adaptation of the games, but they are very close to the games. These books are not official adaptations like God of War is, but they are very close to the games with some liberties taken, but they're still an overall enjoyable experience. These books cover everything from Resident Evil 0 all the way up to Code Veronica, which, if you know, Code Veronica is superior. If you like the games, you may love the books. At the very least, I can promise you, you will love them more than the movies. And there you have it, a very small glimpse into all the amazing books I've read throughout 2021. If you have read any of these, I'm open to discussing opinions, whether they are similar to mine or different. Like I said, literature can be subjective, and it resonates with different people differently. And that's all I have for you today. I have more stuff coming, but until then...
Come on, you're scaring the lady.
Don't worry about me.